or high school.
I don't see that.
It's a bar underneath the 3 green dots that says no registration required, no password. It says choose your program.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Gotta open that. Okay. Common Core what? Just Common Core?
Common Core High School.
Okay.
And the thing about this website is that it might reset to come back to this page a couple times, which is really stupid. And then just press go.
Okay. Now, are you logged into this at the same time?
I was. I'm not anymore, though.
Sometimes that's a problem with these sites. I know on Math Excel it is. I don't know about this website. So, okay. Which one do we pick here?
Algebra 2. And this is where it usually resets. Yep.
Okay.
So you just redo the process.
Go.
Maybe try putting in the Common Core thing again.
Oh, sorry. I thought that that's what it was looking at already. All right.
All right. So the page is 52 is where it starts at.
I don't see pages. I only see chapters.
Oh, so on the cover that says Algebra 2, on top of that, there's a thing that says cover, page, or go to page, and then at the corner, or
here?
The right corner, sorry, above the Algebra 2 sign.
Okay.
And then it's page 52. All right.
At the right place?
Yes. And so my teacher put out certain problems to do rather than all of them.
Okay.
So the problem that I'm currently on is 35.
All right. Figure out how to, that's the next, oh no. Figure out how to blow this up. Any idea? Oh yeah, here, I'm sorry. Forgot we were looking at a browser page. Yes. All right. Can you see those?
Yep.
We have 6 functions. We should have 6 graphs. Decrease it 1. All right. $35 goes with which graph and why?
Okay, so
go through 35, go through everything that is not the elementary function. What's the elementary function?
I don't know.
Y equal x squared.
Oh, that's what it's called?
Uh-huh.
Oh, all right.
Your
okay.
Elementary quadratic, y equal x squared, or g of x equal x squared. Okay?
Okay.
So you have to figure out what the x squared looks like, and then figure out what each of these transformations. In other words, that 2 does something, that -1 does something, and that -2 does something. So let's start from the left. What's that 2 do?
So the 2 multiplies or
Okay.
yeah, the x.
All right, let's talk about it for a second. There are 6 transformations. There are 3 horizontal and 3 vertical. Okay? These
Okay.
transformations are called reflection about the x-axis, which would be a vertical reflection. You have a shift, which can either be horizontal or vertical, which does not change the shape of the graph. It just moves it right, left, or up or down.
Okay.
Finally, you have a stretch or a shrink, which is when you're multiplying the function. And in this case, that 2 is a stretch factor. And the effect of a stretch factor on a parabola is to make it skinnier. Notice if we just look at C versus B, C is skinnier. C has a stretch factor compared to B.
Okay.
Okay. However, it's difficult to tell which equation is correct when you're using stretch factors. However, there are 2 that we can eliminate immediately. Which 2 cannot be correct?
A.
Let's look at the obvious ones. Anything that's upside down cannot be correct.
Yeah, D and F.
Okay, because you need a negative sign to be upside down. So
Right.
our possible choices for 35 are A, B, C, and E. Okay, let's go through the other transformation. What does this -1 do?
It moves the pair
First
functions.
of all, is it vertical or horizontal?
Horizontal.
Correct, because it's inside the function. Every transformation that is horizontal is inside the function. Every transformation that is vertical is outside the function. So what kind of a horizontal shift is this, and which way?
So it's a shift to the right one.
Correct. So now we're down to A and C. In other words, we've eliminated B and E. Okay, the final -2, is that horizontal or vertical?
Vertical.
And what is its implication?
To shift down to.
That makes it C.
Yep.
And notice that we were able to figure out C without really handling that vertical stretch of 2. That's the more difficult thing to handle, but they didn't really make us handle it. In other words, when we applied this horizontal shift and the vertical shift, and the fact that it was upward facing, that solved the problem totally. Now, you have to do all of these or just odds or what?
So 35 through 40.
Okay, let's do 36. Again, that 1/2, what is that called? First of all, horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal.
Vertical. If it's outside the function, it's vertical. If it's inside the function, it's horizontal. That's all you have to remember to keep them separate. And there are 3 horizontals and there are 3 verticals. So if you try to remember 6 things, that's pretty hard. But if you're trying to remember 2 groups of 3 things each, much easier.
Yeah.
Is that a stretch or a shrink?
It is a shrink, I think.
Yeah, it is. Again, we're probably not going to use that to identify the function. We're going to use the other 2 transformations. So
Right.
the +1 does what?
It moves the or shifts to the left 1.
Okay, so now we're down to B or E. And then the -2 does what?
Shift down 2, so it's B.
It's B. And notice the fact that B is fatter than C is.
Right.
That's because that 1/2 has the effect of flattening out the curve. Stretch has the effect of making the curve skinnier. But a number less than 1 makes it fatter.
Right.
Okay. 37. What's the first thing we see?
A negative.
Okay. What does that negative mean?
It flips it over the x-axis.
Vertical flip. You see why I call that vertical?
Because it's over the x-axis?
Yeah. If you flip something over the x-axis, that's a vertical flip. If you flip something over the y-axis, that's a horizontal flip. And in this case, it makes sense to categorize it like that, because everything outside the function is vertical, everything inside the function is horizontal. So the fact that we see a negative sign means it's D or F.
Right.
What's the -1 do? And we'll ignore the 2 for a moment. We haven't run into a problem yet that requires us to consider the shape of that 2. First of all, is that going to be skinnier or fatter?
Skinnier.
Okay. What's the +1 do?
It's actually a -1. It's up 1.
Does it mean, well, first of all, is it horizontal or vertical?
Be horizontal.
Horizontal shift which way?
Right.
The -1 was to the right. So +1 has to be to the left. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was on 38 while you were looking at 37. I apologize. On 37, you're correct. It's 1 to the right. That actually solves it, right? We were down to D and F. Which one is it?
D.
Okay. Now let's go to 38. Now, 38 pointing what? Upward or downward?
Upward.
What is the +1 mean?
Shifts left 1.
And what's the +2 mean?
Shift up 2.
Okay, so the shift left has to be either B or E.
And it's not B, so it's E.
Yeah, and E has a shift up 2. Okay. 39. Okay. Negative means it's pointed down. +1 means
it's shift to the left 1.
there's only one that is like that. You don't even have to use the -2 to identify it.
Oh, wait.
The -2 would be a shift down of 2. So we end up with F.
Right.
And finally, 40, one of the upward facing ones. It's one of the ones shifted right by 1 unit. That makes it A or C. And it's shifted, what's the +2?
Up 2.
Which graph?
A.
Okay. That's how you do those. In other words, you have to figure out the elementary function, and then you have to figure out what everything else that's not the elementary function means.
Okay.
And truly, the way I think you want to remember it is all vertical or outside the function, all horizontal or inside the function. Stuff that's being added and subtracted are shifts. Stuff that is multiplying or dividing are stretches or shrinks.
Okay. So the next problem is 46. And actually, I didn't realize it did that much yesterday, so this is our last problem.
And this is another page. How do I get to the next page? I see. There we go. Let me blow this one up a little bit, and I can write on it also. Describe the graph of G, which is the blue line, as a transformation of the graph of F, which is the black line.
Okay.
So the graph of F is x squared. So let's start looking at how the blue line compares with the black line. First of all, is there anything going on horizontal? First of all, is there any reflection?
No reflection.
Not that we can tell. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you can have a reflection across the y-axis and it looks exactly the same, but we cannot tell. There's no obvious reflection. How about
Right.
horizontal shifts?
So it's shifted left 4.
How would I write that?
So y equals x squared minus 2.
X plus 4.
Oh, crap. Yes.
Right? In other words, that's inside the function, which makes it a horizontal shift. And the fact that it says plus 4 means it's a horizontal shift to the left of plus 4.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking
What kind of vertical shift are we looking at?
minus 2, so shift down 2.
So that shows that way.
Okay.
Now, that's all we can tell. In other words, the blue is not skinnier than the black. It looks about the same proportion. So there's no vertical shift going on that I can see, and there's no horizontal shift that I can see. So I could say that g of x is this function, x plus 4 squared minus 2. That's what g of x is relative to f of x. Now, if g of x looked like this, then I could say there's a multiplier in front of that as a 2, because it is skinnier by a factor of 2.
Okay.
If there was a 1/2 in front of that, it would be fatter by a factor of 2.
Okay.
Okay? Demetrius, what else?
That's it.
That's it for today?
Yeah.
Any other questions you want to ask, or
So
problems you want to look at here? They didn't give you anything beyond 46?
no. So I did half the problems yesterday, And I guess I did more than half because it should have been about half today, but it wasn't. So,
Okay.
um,
So you're good to go? You don't have any questions at all on any of this stuff?
no, I think I'm good.
All right. Demetrius, I will talk to you next Tuesday.
Yep, you too.